When I was a child, I used to do something during services that I now call synagogue math. Synagogue math. Sitting there, I would think, if we are on page 91 now, and the Aleinu is in page 166, and it's taking about a minute and a half per page, how much longer do I need to sit here? It was my way of trying to calculate how much time remained, looking for an end point before I could leave. But now, being here as an adult, something has shifted. Iskor isn't just a service to sit through. It's a time when I feel entirely present. My soul needs Iskor. No more synagogue math. No more wondering how long it will take. This is different. This is about the holiest thing a person has in life, our history. The memories we treasure, you treasure, like a relic. During Iskor, I find myself not wanting it to end, because this space and time feels sacred. It's where the past meets the present. It's where I meet the faces, the voices, the memories of those I have loved and lost. Each page becomes part of that story. Each prayer, a reflection, a remembrance. In Iskor, we no longer count the pages. We count the moments. Moments that hold the memories of those who shaped us, of a history that has become my own. And in these moments, I don't want it to be over. This is where I am fully present, immersed in a connection that spans generations. If you look in the self-help section of the bookstores, you will find lots of books on how to achieve closure and how to recover from grief. But I'm not sure that the goal is to recover from it the way you recover from pneumonia or chickenpox. Mourning is not just a temporary illness. It's our way to continue to love the ones who we have lost. And anyone who dares to tell you to move on before you are ready to, anyone who gives you this free advice quickly and casually, is denying or diminishing the reality of the relationship that you had and that you still have with the ones who you love. What the Iskor service is telling us is that it's not about you when you are hurt over losing your mother or your father or your partner or your spouse or your child. It's about the relationship that you had and that you still have with the one who formed you, the one who taught you, the one who shared life with you, who has now been taken away from this physical world. That's why I don't want it to end. In my head and in my heart, I go back to that relationship. And we do it surrounded by people who are doing the exact same thing. Those of us who have been saying Iskor for years know to remember what it was like when we lost the person we love. Go back to that day. Remember the moment. Remember what you felt. The moment when you heard the news. You went along for a while thinking that that's the end. And then you went along for a while thinking that you were over it. And then all of a sudden, with no warning, a familiar melody, an old song, a place, A picture will trigger a memory and you find yourself crying again. Sometimes you don't even know why you are crying. Sometimes it comes over you with no notice and you have no idea why you are crying, but you are. The grief just bubbles up at unexpected times. For example, it may happen that you didn't shed a tear for years and then your daughter, son, or grandchild calls you and announces that they had named a newborn baby after your mother or father, and then you lose it. And you go into a corner and cry. And you cry with joy that your loved one will have a name. And you cry with sorrow because he was not here to meet a first grandchild. And you cry because the name meant that your mother or your father were gone but not forgotten. There is a verse in Shir Ashirim, the Song of Songs, that I never really appreciated before. It says, Azah kamavet a'ava. Love is stronger than death. That is the shortest, simplest definition of love that I know. Love is stronger than death. Love outlives death. Love changes form when you have a loss. It becomes a conscious campaign to store up memories. It becomes a conscious effort to preserve the person you have lost in your heart, since you can no longer present that person in your physical life. That is why we remember those that we still love, especially at the beginning of a new year, when the chair is empty, but the comments or their expectations for the future are not forgotten. That is why we remember those who we still love when we have a simcha, a birthday, a baby naming, a bat mitzvah, an anniversary, an achievement, a graduation, a moment when we wish they could be here with us to share, a moment when we think about how much this moment would mean. Rabbi Abi Weiss teaches that facing death can be compared to a person who enters a dark room and stumbles on furniture. Each time he enters, he begins to understand where the furniture is. Over time, he becomes more familiar with the room. Despite the darkness, he can now move in it. In death, there is a darkness that cannot be driven away. But it's possible to learn how to continue to go on with life despite the darkness that remains forever. We miss them infinitely, and there are no words to define that missing. But we also miss who we were before this happened. Our confidence that life we live will last longer was mortally wounded, and we will never be the same. But there is one thing we can do. When Iskor comes to an end, we can take our loved ones out of this room with us, wherever we go. Not physically, but spiritually. We can take them with us inside of us, and we can keep them at our sides during the weeks and months ahead. We can keep their memory alive within us so that whenever we have a joy, we can share it with them. We can keep their memories alive within us so that whenever we have sorrow, they can give us strength. We can keep their memories alive within us so that whenever we have a problem and do not know what to do, the memory can serve as a guide. They can still live as long as we live, and in that way our lives can be a source of blessing to them, and they can be a source of blessing to us. Iskor sermons are often a challenge for rabbis because we give so many of them, 4 times a year, year after year. If you do the math, that's a lot of Iskor sermons. And you might wonder, what new can be said? What can be shared that you haven't heard already? I wish that were the case this year. Unfortunately, it's not. This Iskor, along with what we did, the opportunity to touch one more time our personal relationship, brings with it a painful new perspective. I don't need to remind you that since last Yom Kippur, we have lived through the worst year in modern Jewish history. Let me refresh your memory. Iskor was born as a prayer to ask for the souls of Jews who were murdered simply for being Jewish. Its origin is in the Crusades, where many Jews were killed as martyrs. Over time, Iskor became a formalized prayer to commemorate the souls of loved ones. It was always struck with me that the history of the Jewish people begins with a sacrifice. We read it on Rosh Hashanah. Abraham is about to sacrifice Isaac, but instead a ram is offered in his place, which means our history begins with a sacrifice that was never consumed. The ram appeared. I think that was the last time there was a substitute. From then on, in every generation, Jewish sons and daughters have been sacrificed and killed. In these words that I am about to read from Sergeant Alexander, who died on November 3rd, we honor all those killed on October 7th, and from that day on defending the state of Israel. He says the following in a letter. I never imagined I would have to write something like this in my life. I tried pushing this off time and time again, but I was told we'd be entering Gaza tomorrow, and there's a chance we won't be back. And there are a few things I need you to know before this is over. Dear Mom and Dad, though I don't show you a lot of love and don't spend a lot of time with you, know that I appreciate you so, so much. Even when I was going through a tough time, you never stopped trying to help and get close to me. Even when I spoke to you disrespectfully and gave up on everything, you didn't give up on me. You always made sure we had everything and weren't missing anything, and you worked very hard for that. You educated us in an amazing way, and I started seeing it when Zohar grew up. I haven't been home much lately, and even when I wasn't really present. I'm so sorry for that, for not putting in more time to be with the family and always looking to go out. At the end of the day, family is everything, and you have always accepted me just as I am. You are my entire world. Zohar, my incredibly sister. As I'm writing this, remember all the childhood moments we shared together, how much fun we had, how we were always looking for things to do, whether that was getting up before Mom and Dad and making breakfast for them, or making funny videos together, thinking we were famous. How we drove Ori endlessly crazy and wouldn't stop laughing until our tummies hurt. Now we have grown and we are each busy doing our own things. You in your room, me going out to parties. I miss childhood with you so much. You are now the eldest sibling. It's a difficult task, but I'm sure you can handle it. That's just who you are, responsible, smart, caring. Some would say that you are the successful sibling. I love you so much. And it's important to me that you remember that unfortunately I can't tell you that face to face. Little Ori, my little sister, I don't think God can create another such adorable, perfect thing like you. I'm writing this after not having seen you for 2 weeks, and it feels like forever. I wish I could hug you just one last time. I don't know how a girl your age is meant to read this letter or how you will take it. But always remember I love you and I miss you. If you like, you can speak to me in your thoughts. I will listen to you from above. I can't write to everyone because I have honestly met so many people throughout the course of my life. But still it's important for me to say thank you for all the moments and experiences you have given me. The warm, familiar atmosphere, the generosity, the humor I've always felt, I had a little bit of each and every one of you in me. Thank you for everything. I truly love you, and I'm sorry for every family dinner or gathering I didn't come to, because I know I miss out on experiences with amazing people. To my close friends, I can't even begin to describe all the experiences we shared together. Thank you for always being there for me and for building me an incredibly childhood. I hope you will celebrate like we plan to do when I get back and tell your children about all the moments and experiences I was part of. Miss you. I'm going into this war knowing I might not be coming back, but I believe wholeheartedly in what I'm doing. We have no other country, only Eretz Acheret. And now it's my turn to defend it and fight the battle of all the civilians, soldiers, babies, elderly, and women who were helpless in the face of Hamas brutality. This is the way my parents raised me. This is what I believe in. I hope you will remember me. From Sergeant Alexander, 20 years old. May his memory be a blessing. We wish we could have protected every soul who was brutally slaughtered. We wish we could understand your silence, God. The cries of the victims echo to the universe. God of the broken-hearted, God of the living, God of the dead, send comfort and strength to the grieving. Send hope to the children, send healing to Israel. We pray they are at peace now, far away from the horror they endured. Their lives ended in tragedy, but that is not how we will remember them. We will remember their heroism, their love for family and for life itself, their faith in the future, the laughter, the kindness, the determination, the spirit of hope, the passion for Israel and for peace. Teach us, God, to believe that we can rise up from this tragedy with hope for Israel, hope for our people, hope for peace, hope for the new year that is upon us. Let them find peace in your presence, God. Their lives were extinguished, but their light will forever shine upon us and illuminate our way.